Welcome to For the Record, a podcast from the Delaware State Senate Republican Caucus, hosted by Senator Brian Pettyjohn, Chief of Staff Deanna Killen, and Communications Director Matt Revel. This is For the Record.
75 today. That's great. I was like, no, the high was at midnight. It's been going down ever since. She was not happy with that at all.
So are we rock and roll?
We are
we're
rocking
on.
and
Yeah,
rolling.
this is how we open now. We just start.
This is casual.
Listen, before we get going, let's get going because I want to bring some folks listening up to speed. That's something that just happened maybe 30 minutes ago. We had a good day, right?
It was.
There's legislative action. It's not always combative, but there are times when we're going to fight for what we think's right. And I think that's what happened down on the floor today. And I'll speak simply to just an amendment in process. I'm going to bring Senator Pettyjohn, ask him to explain it. But the challenge for me, I go to a Farm Bureau meeting at breakfast just a few days ago. And what was said in that room by farmers in front of legislators invited to come there to feel their perception, their pain, their reality, was that they don't feel like they're welcome here or that there's a future for them. And they don't because whether we're hitting them in their pocket with fines and fees or whether it's regulations, they just don't feel what we think they should, truly should be feeling, which is we need them. Mm-hmm. We respect them. So, I don't know if you want to speak to the amendment in the process.
Well, talk about the bill and look. Farming, there is such little margin in farming now that any increase of anything drastically affects them. And right now they're getting pinched with fuel prices going up. And that's bad. But when fuel prices go up, with the price of oil goes up, that also affects things like fertilizer. Fertilizer ends up going up. All of these inputs that come into farming. The farmers are the ones that count every single nickel and dime that goes into their business.
Right.
And there's very little margin right now. When you have cost of inputs go up, but the price of grain's not going up, or the price of the chickens, aren't going up, that's a real problem for them.
Yeah, let me give a little background on this bill that we're talking about.
Yeah.
HB 266 was on the agenda today, and what that bill
222.
HB 222. Yes,
222.
sorry, I typed it in wrong. But basically, it increased penalties for farmers that violate their nutrient management plan, and it increased those penalties 5 times. Yeah. Senator Pettyjohn introduced an amendment that would have still increased the fines, but only twofold.
Twofold, right.
And this bill actually came before us on June 30th last year.
It did.
And it had problems, and we were able to have it pulled, and they were supposed to work on this over break. So.
Yeah, as part of the agreement that we made in order to get bond bill through last year, this was going to go on hold, and there were some other things that we had too. But this was part of the deal to hold this so that discussion could happen over the 6-month break so that we could try to come up with a solution. And there was a solution. And the Nutrient Management Subcommittee met and proposed, instead of a 5-fold increase, a 2-fold increase. Okay. It still adjusted the amounts of the fines to reflect the length of time that it's been since they were originally put in and established, but it did it in a more measured fashion, and it came from the committee.
Right.
Which is what you want.
Which is what you want. You want the process to work. The process worked the way it should. We deliberated. This is supposed to be a deliberative process. We're not supposed to make decisions like this. We're supposed to discuss them. We're supposed to bring stakeholders together, and that's what happened here. But the sponsors of the bill decided nope, they did not want to go through that process. They had it there. The Nutrient Management Subcommittee just met a matter of a couple of months ago. This is a recommendation, a fresh recommendation based on what we should be doing.
And by the professionals, the Nutrient Management Commission.
Yeah. So and the amendment was defeated, and the bill passed with a 5-fold increase to the current fees.
Right.
And a perception again, because when they were asked the question, the Secretary of Ag, about what's the history of these challenges, and this is not something that we have consistent bad actors just every day, just bad farmers out there doing bad things. No, there's a process in place to make sure that those that are doing wrong are held accountable, but it is few and far between that we actually have this. For the most part, these folks are God-fearing, hard-working individuals, family farms that are doing, great things across Delaware. And the last thing we want to do as a legislative body is send a message that, We haven't done something in 30 years, so we've got to fix it now.
And if you make a mistake, we're going to penalize you, up to $5,000.
And farmers right now are really having a tough time with energy cost increases. I mean, like you said, there's not a big profit margin as it is.
There's not.
I think it's worth mentioning too. So, House Bill 222 was part of the package of bills that we had a deal on June 30th, and the understanding is that the stakeholders and lawmakers who were drafting this would go back to the drawing board, gather feedback from other stakeholders and stuff. Sounds like that happened, but also sounds like it was ignored based on the commission's recommendation, what was implemented in the amendment that our caucus and you specifically proposed, and then ultimately they voted down.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So. Sure.
Yeah. So again, another unfriendly amendment.
It was considered an unfriendly amendment. I mean, I did have two amendments on bills today. One was friendly and one was unfriendly.
That's
so
right.
I'm batting at 500 right now.
I was proud of you today, my friend. You did good, son.
Yeah. So
Thanks, Dad.
The other big thing on up
Thanks,
here
Coach.
this week, the other big topic up here was project labor agreements. That was in committee yesterday. We had a lot of people show up here to Legislative Hall.
We did, yeah.
Yes, rallying against the bill. This is going to be a big one. I think they're talking maybe Thursday it's going to be on the Senate agenda.
That's what I'm hearing is Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe just kind of give a little background on what a project labor agreement is and what that means for merit-based companies. We had a lot of minority-owned merit companies come out in opposition to this bill. I think I had Blake pull it. I think we had almost 40 people speak in opposition and 13 support. So clearly overwhelming opposition.
Right.
Still.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I'll keep it real simple. It comes down to union versus non-union workers on a job site. So you've got a major construction project in Delaware, and there's bids that are put forth to see
Public construction.
Yes,
Public
public
funds,
construction. Yes.
Like schools and things like
all
that.
that. Yeah, no, everything but what road projects, I think, is not included.
Mm-hmm.
But just to the general eye of people listening, what are you talking about? We're talking about projects the state's paying for, where there's bids that are put in place. And so if you have a corporate company come in that's non-union, it's a merit shop type of company, and they win the bid, if this bill passes, they're going to be required to use union labor to a certain extent. And so then the question becomes, what's the rights the state wants to require that to happen? The argument from the merit side is going to be that you're going to drive up costs, you're taking away our rights to work, the individual employee's right to make their own decision. The argument from the labor side is the labor protects the worker, ensures that the worker is being fairly paid for the job they're performing. Those are the two key ingredients.
Yep.
I mean, there's merit on both sides. I was a 29-year union guy. I mean, as a Republican, I'm not against union labor, and I do see the need. What I am challenged with right now is forcing that onto an open bid where somebody is successful and the state decides to go with it. And that's a real challenge for them.
Yeah, and it's going to be, and I see the merits of
Exactly.
Union membership. My dad was, in the trades for most of his career, working for Delaware Electric Co-op, and I know a lot of those guys, and I've got a lot of respect for what they do and the work that they do. I also know a lot of merit shop folks as well, and so this is one of those subjects where, look, if you want to look at it, I think there's merits on both sides, but what we have to do is look at how the taxpayers in Delaware are being protected, how the businesses are being protected, and how we can make sure those workers are paid fairly, which I think even with the merit shop and the rules that are around that, and public construction with prevailing wage rates, that those types of things are protected as well. So this is something that I'm not on the labor committee. I didn't hear the testimony there. I'm gonna listen to it.
It was a good committee meeting.
Yeah, I hear it was a really good committee meeting. So I'm going to listen to it and really try to work through the weeds of what this all means.
Yeah, it's
as it is right now, it's I'm leaning toward not supporting the bill. Just because of the concerns that we've heard from some folks that were in our caucus today as well.
And it's SB 241. I didn't say the bill number to go. And like Brian just said, we had a couple representatives from them in today. And one of the things that one of the representative said is that if this were in place today and all the parameters had to be followed, that this year's bond bill would be an additional $96 million. So, and for me personally,
it's not an insignificant amount of money.
Yes, I'm vehemently opposed.
It's interesting because the challenge with that, right, is I always tell folks, I teach young folks, advice. I give them advice. I say, make sure that whatever you get as a response, that you go bounce it off the folks on the opposite side, and then be willing and understanding of, okay, where am I? Sometimes I call it you sharpen your pencil. You go speak to the folks that are completely opposite, and you realize that doesn't make sense, and it sharpens your pencil to say here. Or you go over there and they refute some of the comments, and now you're like, all right, now the pencil's a little more dull. I got to get more information. That's kind of where I am right now. There's no question about it. If this change makes monumental impacts to the costs associated with the project, the state of Delaware right now can't afford that. That's a problem. Now, the other side's telling me right now that's not necessarily the case. The one side's saying that if you do this, that I'm not going to be able to keep a lot of my employees because I'm going to have to replace them with labor. The labor side's saying, no, that's not necessarily true. But what I learned is, I did hear that when I sharpened my pencil. No, there is some merit in that.
Yeah.
The folks can stay, but then they would have to be, union. They would have to join. It's not that I don't want them to join union. I want them to do that of their own accord. I want them to be able to decide. And I've shown that on the floor where I've accepted the terms of some, union rights down there. I just don't need it to be forced. I want to support the union without it. I want it to be a free choice for the individual. Yeah. So there's some things left unchecked, right, for me right now. So I'm not settled on where I am. But there's some obstacles that I need to better understand on the labor side, the PLA side, cost-wise, how it impacts the current employees, how it permits free choice, freedom of choice, recognizing there is some merit in what the union is doing when it protects, when you hire somebody as a laborer, and they're a laborer wage rate, and you've got them working half the day doing pipe or electrician calls, is there merit in saying, okay, that's gaming the system? I don't know. I need more information there, and I'm willing to listen.
Yep.
All right. So I guess we'll get more information on that. We did have, one of the representatives did say that he foresees a lot of jobs just not being bid on at all, or no one getting the bid. And he also said that as of right now, he's starting to look for work in Maryland.
Right.
So
the big problem you got right now is that there's not enough labor to do these types of things. So you're going to be, how do you accept the terms but require it? Okay, fine, but it's got to be all Delaware union.
Right.
And right now there's no way. Now I guess the argument is
Does
it will
have
be.
To be Delaware Union?
We bring in a lot of labor from out of state. You look on these construction sites, there's a lot of plates that are not Delaware plates from the employees that are coming in from out of state to do these jobs.
Right. So I have an issue with that if we're bringing in union members from other states to take jobs of merit-based Delawareans. I don't think that that's fair.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else on PLA?
Let's move on.
More to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this does not have a number yet, and this is not a bill. This is only a resolution. But a resolution was sent around by Senator Surgeon and Representative Snyder Hall that is requesting DOE to develop a working group to support comprehensive health education standards for programming K through 12.
Okay. No
Doesn't sound bad.
Just wait.
but wait, there's more.
It does. I think the issue just becomes who are some of the groups that they're going to have around the table.
Okay.
Most of them are okay. I actually researched, and I went kind of down a rabbit hole. I went on their websites, watched their presentations and everything. Parents, families, students, administrators, superintendents, other Delaware state agencies, Shape America, National Consensus on Health Education, Future of Sex Education, Sexuality Information and Education Council of the United States. It's also known as CECUS. Advocates for Youth and Answer, and then others as needed. When I looked at these, CECUS is the one that really, really concerned me. There was some stuff there I did not, as a parent, I would be concerned about. Some parents might see this and have no concerns whatsoever. That's fine. But CECUS, they had a presentation on their website. It was a 2024 State of Education Legislative Look Ahead. And one of their slides was named The Bad and the Ugly. Okay? And these are the things that they had under the bad and the ugly.
Okay.
Restricting early sex education for K through 3 and K through 5. Parental rights, bills that would allow parents oversight. And bills that would restrict gender-affirming care, school sports bans, bathroom bans, and allow for misgendering. And kind of like their mission statement that was at the beginning of the presentation read, Caucus envisions an equitable future where all people receive quality sex education, are affirmed in their identities, and have power to make decisions about their own health, pleasure, and well-being. That's concerning to me. I was like, why are we, is that stand out to you, the word pleasure, when we're talking about sex ed for kids and high schoolers?
Sexuality in general, especially because we're talking about K through 12.
Right.
All right, guys,
Right.
we're not, understand this, you're not talking about ninth grade education for health. When I taught it and taught it for years and years, right, you're talking about, and you're not talking about folks who are listening might remember that, you know, that 7th grade class where they separated the boys and girls and the birds and the bees was talked
I had it
about.
in 6th grade.
You know, congratulations.
Yeah, Mr. Bloodsworth's class.
Here's the challenge.
It stood out, you know.
Here's the challenge, and I want you to appreciate that. And that was a very good point to make, and you're not wrong. That's not good enough. That's not good enough because people now from these groups and other groups had decided that 6th grade is too late.
It's too late.
4th grade's too late. Now it's got to be 3rd grade. No, wait, it's going to be kindergarten. We're going to read books to kids and try and talk to them about sexuality. We need to push back on this, not because I don't think that an adult can be who they want to be, but because we don't need to confuse our kids. I've seen it as a 9th grade teacher who's seen them progress from 9th grade, 10th, 11th, and 12th. The changes are wild. Leave them alone. Quit confusing them. And you start talking to these kids at an early age about how they're supposed to be feeling. It is a mistake. I used to tell my kids all the time in the 9th grade, relax, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about the kid next to you, the one to the right or left of you. If you trust yourself, you be you, you're right where you need to be now. You start telling 3rd grades that, it is wrong, and that's where we're headed with this. I challenge folks listening, go look at your school district's K through 12 curriculum for health. And you'll be shocked to see what the topic of discussion might be. Light, however light, in maybe like 3rd grade, because 6th grade wasn't early enough. However, 6th grade's plenty early enough.
Yeah. And I think that if this, and again, this here would only develop a working group where all these people would get around the table, look at what the curriculum currently is, and then make recommendations. If this were to pass, and if that happens, we will certainly keep people informed on when this group is meeting and what they're deciding. Parents really need to pay attention to this because, like you said, this isn't going to make it any better. No. This will make it worse.
You're fixing something that isn't broke right now. Because the only thing you're trying to do is lower it down further, add more to it. What's left to talk about? Keep the same topics, talk about them sensibly. As they mature and get older, you can deal with that. But and here's the problem with that. You say it's going to be in committee. You know how that works. If there's nobody willing to push back, and here's the problem. If you sit at that table with those folks, they look at you as if you're, I don't know, mean. You don't appreciate that space, and that's not fair. That's not what we're saying at all.
And the unfortunate part is this resolution won't be in committee, so it's going to come straight to the floor, and if it passes, then it will go right to the working group. So we will definitely keep people posted on that.
I mean, my kindergarten daughter can't even tie her shoes.
It's ridiculous.
Why should she be learning about what they want her to learn about?
Right.
Yeah.
It's just insane to me.
Yeah, and I think I was telling you guys that I have a...
Say it again.
Yeah, I have my granddaughter who was in preschool, a public preschool, and she comes home and her thing in school is that they talk about their feelings every day. And she comes home and she's like, yeah, we talked about my feelings today. I just think that that's weird. Like, why are we talking to a preschool about their feelings? Just let them be. My daughter's going to homeschool, thank goodness, starting next year. But some of the stuff that they're teaching our young kids is just very problematic.
Yeah.
You're teaching your kids that the feelings, natural feelings, good, bad, and indifferent, have to be analyzed. You have to have a clear appreciation and understand. No.
And just sit in them and dwell on them.
You just don't. You're good. Now listen, there is a lesson to be learned at a later stage. I taught it in health, where if you get stuck, I used to tell them, if you get stuck in an emotion, right, then let's find somebody to talk to.
Find somebody to talk to.
Right.
Yeah.
But don't get hung up on the fact you just weren't in a good mood today or maybe a couple of days, you know?
Yeah.
Worry about getting stuck. I said it's like the weather. Sometimes it's going to rain for one day, sometimes it's going to be a week. But the sun comes out. When your sun never comes out, talk to somebody. Until then, get through the clouds because the sun's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we confuse kids. We start them in 2nd grade saying, how are you feeling today? What are you talking about? It's a 2nd grader.
I just want to eat my PB&J, yeah.
I don't know.
So we will keep everyone posted on that. We're going to monitor that very closely.
Yeah.
So more to come. So this one here, I don't think all of us agree on this one, HB 188, which is actually, you're the sponsor in the Senate. It made it out of committee yesterday. Representative Mike Smith. It will allow non-affiliated voters to vote in political party primaries. So basically, I'm a registered Republican, so I would still be, required to vote in mine. The Republican. Registered Democrat would have to vote in a Democrat primary. If you're unaffiliated, you could choose. You can vote in one or the other, not both.
There were some questions about your registration. I'm glad you clarified that.
Okay.
Yeah, we were wondering.
About my registration?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's questioning that. Yeah. But one thing we were talking about yesterday that I did find out, the effective date would be January 1st, 2028. And it would also allow them to have an absentee ballot. So I don't think you are on board 100% yet.
I'm not. No.
Here's what I think. I could be wrong. I think that this is a way that could possibly make it so, like the very, very far, on both sides. I think this could kind of bring everything back to the middle if you're allowing non-partisan or kind of more non-partisan voters to vote. Unaffiliated, right? But technically,
look, my concern, and from somebody that's been in elections before, is you want to know who your voters are. You want to know the universe of voters that are out there that might vote for you. In a primary, that's pretty well defined. In a general, currently in a primary, in a general, it's pretty well defined. But if you bring unaffiliateds into the primary election, you don't know, one, if they're going to vote, two, which party they're going to vote for. So that definition, that defined universe of who the voters could be gets very murky at that point in time.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
Yeah, I'll say three things maybe. Very fair arguments. I think the fairest argument is to say this: if you want to vote, join a team, and that's fair.
Yeah,
right?
You said that before.
So I don't disagree with that, but separate that from the fact that obviously I'm sponsoring the bill on the Senate side. Why do I? Because I think I see merits, right? I see the merits of those folks who don't agree. I don't like it. They're like angry at me. That makes sense, but it is what it is. But hear me out on the merits of it. And you've got a couple things. Number one, this is already done in many red states, yes. Texas, Alabama being Tennessee. A couple examples. Yeah. So this is something that you can navigate through. And I think given Delaware's uniqueness right now, with the ever-expanding significant number of unregistered independents in the state, I think it brings them into the political process. There's no question it sort of negates a small primary, which is a lot of times our problem, right? We have very few voters in primaries. This expands that number significantly. And I think if you're doing your job connecting with all voters as best you can, I think it's a hurdle you can overcome.
I think one thing that you're seeing, and you mentioned the increasing number of unaffiliated voters that we have here in Delaware. I think that's partly due to the automatic voter registration as well.
Some of it was.
Because when you go in, you get registered to vote. I think that was when she was Senator, current Lieutenant Governor Gay's bill. So you go in to get your license, even if you don't want to be registered to vote, they register you to vote, and you are unaffiliated at that point in time, unless you choose something or unless you return the postcard saying, I want to be a Democrat or Republican, Green, Independent Party of Delaware, whatever. But you are automatically registered as an unaffiliated. So I think that's part of why we're seeing such a dramatic uptick of unaffiliated voters. It's just because everybody's registered that way, when they go and get their driver's license, if they're moving from a different state, if they're turning, when you turn 16, you're actually registered to vote now, automatically. So, I think that plays a part into it. But, again, kind of like you said before, pick a side. Maybe we look at taking the amount of time before the primary that you have to be a member of that party registered, and condense that a little bit. But pick a side.
Interesting. I'll leave you with this one, and it's sort of switching gears onto the Democrat side, currently what they're dealing with right now. So the primaries are a real challenge. What the primary has done on the Democrat side now is force some of their more moderate Democrats to lean heavily to the left to avoid a primary.
Some.
So a lot. Oh, you got me. Sorry. Yeah. But they have to go heavy, much further than you know them to be, so that they can meet that progressive arm of the Democrat Party and vote like they expect them to vote, right? And if they don't, they get a primary. That's what you've seen. You see it this year alone. When you look at the number of Democrats, I can't imagine them being any more progressive, aggressive than they are now. And many of them are getting primaries because there are those out there in their party that see them as not doing enough. And my point to my Republican friends is, as much as I want Republicans to win, if we can't win it, I want us to. When we don't, I sure hope there's more moderate, or what I used to call the liberal Democrat, in a seat, because what we see now aren't liberal Democrats.
Right, there was when the General Assembly was made up of that, there was a lot more working across the aisle and a lot less unfriendly amendments.
A lot less unfriendly.
Because they were, quote,
well, we didn't have to do the unfriendly amendments because the bills were more moderate.
Right, and we could work it out in advance. You know,
but we don't have compromise now. You don't have the balance because the senators and legislators in the House are all been pulled so far to the left to avoid a primary, which isn't working out for them, that in theory, maybe this bill helps everybody.
Well, one really good positive for this bill is that Representative Morris voted no on it.
There it is.
Everybody else voted
Morrison or Morris?
Morrison.
Okay.
You said Morris.
No, I said Morrison.
You said Morris.
All right.
Because he'll tell you, he'll admit, right? He'll
Play
wear
the
a
tape.
badge.
No.
There's no way I would confuse the two of them.
No, I don't think
That's
so.
pretty funny. But he'll tell you he wants to be the most progressive legislator here. I think he wears it with a badge. That's not a slight on him. They'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why he doesn't like the bill, I would assume.
Which I think that's kind of maybe shows that my theory might have a little bit of merit,
Could
that
be, yeah.
it will kind of bring everything back to the middle.
Yeah, could be. So what else? What's next?
Seaford High School was here today.
Yes.
We did a really cool
Blue
TikTok
Jays.
video for them, so everyone go check that out. They were our Division I, correct? Division I football champions.
1A, they call it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really cool. They got to come and visit. The window tint bill. This is your bill too. HB 255.
Busy man, Senator
Yeah.
Buxton.
Maybe
Wow.
you can talk a little bit about what that does. This will make my son's car legal, so that's great.
In simple
Let me
terms,
cut that out. I don't know.
What's his tag number again?
I don't remember.
Addresses. Anyway.
if you have tint, then you've had to take it off to go through inspection, or if you've had to go through the process of trying to get a doctor's note in order to have tint to your satisfaction
The tint
on
waiver.
on your cars, right? To get a tint waiver to have it, I think maybe you'll appreciate this bill, because what it does is it lowers or it raises the ability for you to have tint on your window, basically shade. So that's a positive, I think, because I think a lot of Delawareans enjoy that, right? Even if they haven't gone through with the process of getting a waiver through a doctor, they would like to be able to tint their windows. And Delaware, we learned, was one of the most restrictive states
Yes.
in the country when it comes to tint on the windows.
So we have to allow 70%
Yes.
in. So I'm just looking at a map, and I'm not sure how recent this map is, but it looks like Pennsylvania 70, New York, D.C., Maryland's only 35, so you could do darker there.
We're at 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
this
I think this
25 right
bill would bring
This
us
one
in
would.
line with Maryland
With
and other
Maryland.
neighboring states, right?
now. Yeah. Well, Maryland, yeah, but Pennsylvania's at 70.
Yeah, 70%, 70%
Is where we are
light
now.
has to get through.
Yeah, NCSL research did
Right.
indicate we were one of the strictest in the country.
35%.
States on the
Delaware.
Which
Delmarva
is
Peninsula.
and,
we'll
and I
say.
think that's
There you go.
what the standard is for most cars is a 70. So installed from the factory without any film, it's a 70%, because most of the side windows do have a little bit of tint to them.
The back ones don't.
But the
have
back ones could be
Yeah.
They
black,
don't restrict them at all.
blacked out. Yeah.
Yeah. And Delaware State Police and the DMV both support the bill.
And that's the plus side, right? So DMV as well as Delaware State Police, who would have their concerns about being able to see in,
Safety.
all have agreed to the change. They say no, that's an acceptable change. So I think it's a positive bill for those folks that want to, have tint on their windows at a greater degree than they currently can, or at all if they don't have any, because they haven't been able to get
The
they haven't
waiver.
been able to find a friendly doctor willing to write that script.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. All right. I think we can end with the Nuclear Energy Task Force. I just want to touch on this quickly. They met again on Monday. Reliability First gave a presentation that I thought was really, really good, because it's kind of the first time we've had someone come in and really say, look, we need a very diverse portfolio to match our needs, or to meet our needs here in Delaware. One thing is interesting, pluribus news, which is something that us legislators and staff get, kind of tells us what's going on around the country. This came out this afternoon that says pro-coal legislation picks up and push to meet growing energy needs. So across 12 states, there's 20 bills coming out. So I thought that was kind of neat to see. And when she, in this Reliability First presentation, she gave kind of this little list that shows what is the best source, and green all the way across, there's only one, and it's coal. Now, of course, of course you still have some, environmental concerns you have to worry about with that, but it's cleaner than it used to be.
The Indian River Power Plant, the emissions that came out of that plant before it was shut down were some of the cleanest. I mean, it was one of the cleanest coal plants in the country.
I think when they renovated the scrubbers and updated the scrubbers, they actually were the cleanest at that point. Yeah. Which really wasn't that long ago. So.
Yeah, because it says coal-fired electricity production declining to about 16% of production in 2023, down from more than 50% in the early 2000s.
Let's see what the live dashboard right now is. So, right now we're running at, drum roll please, coal in PJM is providing 13.2% right now.
Coal is, okay.
Yep.
What's providing the most?
Gas 39.7,
yep.
Nuclear 30%, 31%.
Yeah.
Where's solar on that? Because I remember last time it was like 1 point something.
Solar, we could go down the list. 6.7%.
6.7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wind.
So that's up from 1.7.
Yeah. Wind right now is 5.5.
It's kind of windy, somewhat.
Yeah. And I had a sidebar conversation with a member from the nuclear task force who doesn't feel super optimistic that they're going to move forward with this. They think that safety and concerns of safety is probably going to hold it up, which is sad because they also presented Reliability First, a high load carrying capability says that nuclear is at 95%. So basically, what that means it's almost always available when called
upon. So that's the availability factor.
The availability factor, and that's during peak or emergency. So it's definitely a great source of energy.
That is the perfect base load generation,
and it's the most steady. They said they showed a chart that showed everything else was kind of up and down, whereas nuclear was just steady. Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, the chart that I have here, at 12 a.m., nuclear was providing 30.11 gigawatts. Okay. The latest snapshot, it's providing 30.35 gigawatts.
Yeah.
Where you see everything else go up and down throughout the day. Nuclear is right there, just steady and stable. Yeah.
So, and Senator Hocker has requested his Senate Bill 65, which will completely remove Delaware from the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. He'll be, it's sometime next month or sometime in the next couple of weeks that will be in committee.
So it's interesting, too, because I was at the chamber today and they'd asked about energy, and I tried to be very direct, and I said, let's speak to Delmarva Power, the one that the governor's made the bad guy in the room, and I said, here's what we could do. Right? You could recognize the large-scale providing that they do across the state, and you could literally take their compliance tax and kind of redirect it back to them, the tune of maybe $30 million in the last year, 2 years and a half, whatever, and then fix that to continuation of improvement of infrastructure. You could take the RGGI tax. It's $40-50 million we're generating. Put that, attack it also, because you've got a challenge with, energy providers right now, and we're looking at it, trying to get, but all secondary to that or equal to that is the fact that our infrastructure right now is a real problem. Yeah. And that's generating that other tier of cost that's on your bill. So we can address that one now while we're addressing how do we get more energy providers.
Right.
And the best way to do it, again, is to repurpose that money. They're using that money right now to pay for, home inspections and winterizations and other green initiatives. The biggest initiative that Delawareans need right now is something that directly impacts their bill and begins to lower it.
Right.
And attacking that with those fees would definitely be helpful.
And we mentioned your bill last week that that you're drafting that would require 70% of those ACP payments going back to the ratepayer. So hopefully we'll have a draft of that soon.
Good.
This is a crisis, I'm telling you.
It is. It is a crisis.
I was at a meeting in a very challenged neighborhood doing an elementary tour and met with some community folks. And this lady comes up to me, 82 years old. She doesn't know what to do. She does not know what to do. She's on a heat pump, and it went out. Cost her $700 or $1,200. On top of the fact, she had a $600 electric bill. And guess what the problem with that is? She's going to have another $600 electric bill the next month and the next month. She's on a fixed income. There's just no reality. What are you going to do? She's going to lose her home?
Right.
Is that what we're doing? Because I don't know what else we do.
Yeah. It's a very sad situation. Something has to be done. Like, we've got to, sad.
And if I hear the Dems say it one more time, well, we had nothing to do with this baloney, go back 2014, 15, 16.
Yeah.
You know, your initiatives, your policies, your recommendations, everything showed the world what you guys said with the Indian River plant. They knew their future was limited.
Yeah, and we had met with someone from the industry who told us how how terrible that was with that going offline and how much of a load that we lost as a result of that.
We should have been attacking that. We should have been pouring into that to figure it out. Instead, we don't need you.
But the thing is, they have put so much money into subsidies for wind and solar. If you take away the subsidies,
it's not cheaper.
It is not cheaper by a long shot. It's not cheaper.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's all I've got, unless anybody else has anything. How about you, Matt? You were a little quiet today.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a very fascinating conversation. I really enjoyed listening to the experts in the room here. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody hold on. I have a feeling it's going to get crazy.
It's going to get crazy. You know, I will say this week back is better than the first week in January, though.
Oh, see, I disagree. This week has been terrible.
The first week, you don't remember the first week in January, how horrible that was? Yeah. All the screaming matches on the floor?
That's right. That's right.
Eric?
Okay.
Well, you know, if you
we
want
can always
some,
count
come
on,
get some.
We can always count on Eric for entertainment.
I just made a decision. I'm not going to take it sitting down. That's all. I'm not. But you know what the beauty of it is? I didn't have to today, did I? Because my man here and a couple of other friendlies handle business.
That's
and I
right.
like that better because they sound so much more diplomatic than I do.
That Coach Buxton comes out.
Yeah, I get a little fiery.
Yeah, he does.
I get a little
He
fiery.
does.
It is what it is.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right.
Okay, well, I guess if all hearts are clear, we can wrap it up.
Yeah,
like
we
you
got to
said,
get home before the snow.
Before it
accumulates.
Yeah, it's true.
I just got a message. It's accumulating on cars in Harrington right now. Yeah.
Am I going to? Yeah. Do I get like hazardous pay for driving home in this?
No, because I have to drive home the same distance. So no, sorry.
I think the ground's
He's got to go further than.
Yeah, I got the furthest drive of any of us.
Yeah.
I'll be home sitting. I won't be on the deck. Darn it, I was on the deck yesterday.
I was out. We were outside yesterday. We were outside the day before. It was nice.
Like, how much of a tease was that? That was so.
That was horrible.
Disappointing. Yeah.
It was horrible.
How long does this last? Do you know?
Like a week or so.
It's in the 10 days. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's supposed to be like extremely cold.
No.
Like, I think right now.
But the warm weather is gone for a bit. Monday 72, but the rest.
Ooh, okay.
50s, 72, 40s is the high, 50s is the high. So, yeah.
It's better than ice.
It is.
20 inches of snow or whatever we got.
Yeah, I'm over
a couple
that.
weeks ago. That was crazy.
Well,
if it's light snow, I'm fine. That was heavy snow. That was bad. I mean,
you can come out and shovel my driveway then.
that's fine. I got 2 snow blowers.
Oh,
I'll loan you one.
Well,
I
I wish I had known that.
Yeah,
I'll loan you
next
Big Red.
snowstorm, we're calling you then.
I got Graham.
There you
There you go.
My son.
All right. Well,
All right.
we will see everyone next week.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Thanks. Peace. See you.
For the Record is recorded and produced by the Delaware State Senate Republican Caucus. You can find us with the DE Senate GOP handle on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Threads. Discover more about our caucus on our website, senategop.delaware.gov.